Hi, all. Kinsey Schofield here. I wanted to just pop on. First of all, it's instructed me that I should say hello to the viewers that watch later and not live. So I'm going to follow instruction. Hello to everybody that watches this at a later date. I was just in classic form. We're waiting on Cristo. He's not here yet. Let's see if he sent me an update on his life so that I can at least. Nope, he's not here. I don't know what's going on. But I wanted to jump on here with you because you're waiting for us, and so I didn't want to leave you hanging. Raven says, I'm catching my first live. Cannot wait, Kinsey. I swear you take the thoughts right out of my head. I'm an American married to a Scot. That's my favorite Hallmark movie. And that just emigrated here, and it's appalling what the Markles do. Yeah, I think it's completely unnecessary, and it's just like they're so self-consumed that they don't see the bigger picture. And if maybe they would think about other people the way that they claim they do, everything wouldn't be so intense and feel so personal to them. Angel says, I heard a Hollywood Raw and Dax with Dax and Adam that they are just regurgitating the headlines and not doing their homework. Well, that offends me that they were talking about that and they didn't have me on to talk about it, because I like to go on with those boys. Hi, West Coast girl from Vancouver, BC, British Columbia. That's where my grandfather is from. So good to see you. Also, I had someone complain while watching a rerun of the live last time that I was stopping to talk to the commenters, and I was like, how can I want to engage with the people that are here with me, especially, hi Jay, when Cristo leaves me hanging. So I am going to probably continue to talk to people that are leaving me sweet comments, because I appreciate their oh wait, I can show comments. I'm just going to test this out with you. This is new software clearly to me. Oh, hey girl. Hi, Raven. So that's fun. What a thrill. Angel says that the Harkles need to issue a statement and denounce that King Charles III and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, are not racist. I think that I agree with you, but I also said earlier today that on Vanessa Feltz on Talk TV that, I wasn't going to judge them for not saying anything yet, because maybe they were working on their response behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Angel. I do love Catherine, and there's no way that she's guilty of anything she is. Oh, here's my thing, because a couple of people have said to me, in fairness, Endgame, the Dutch version of Endgame, only did not blame outright Catherine and the king of racism. In fairness, Endgame blamed them for unconscious bias. My problem with that is that for years it was hyped up as racism. So for people that are not completely engrossed in this world, that just watched Oprah Winfrey and that has just had this mystery hanging over their head of who are these people, who is this person, because remember, Megan told us it was only one. They're not going to sit down and try to figure out what the difference between racism and unconscious bias is. They're not going to go, oh, that's not vindictive, there's no malice there. They're just going to assume that this horrible, by the way, like, can we just take a moment to acknowledge that when Harry and Meghan don't like headlines, they do speak out, they do release statements. So when the Oprah Winfrey interview happened and the conversation was around royal racism, and Meghan said herself during the Netflix series that she was disappointed that the conversation was around racism and not around her mental health. When that Oprah interview happened and that was the takeaway, Harry and Meghan could have issued a statement. They chose not to. Harry and Meghan chose to issue a statement saying that they were not invited to the king's birthday festivities. And they haven't released a statement here. So I wish that they would. I don't think that... Here, wait, is this Cristo? Trying to connect. I'm just, what do I say to trying to connect? Okay. I believe in you. I believe in you. You guys have connected from New Zealand, Judy. Hi, so good to see you. So we do know that Harry and Meghan do issue statements when it's of importance to them, when they find that there is something that really gets under their skin. And in this particular case, these allegations and the way that they've been the way that they have been interpreted, and the way that they have spread all over the world in such a vicious manner, it's critical that somebody steps up and defends them, because these are the kinds of things that stick with you for the rest of your life. I think I see Cristo. Let's see. The problem is that Meghan in the Oprah interview said that the person expressed concern, and that implied more than unconscious bias. I agree with you there. That does imply more than unconscious bias. Cristo is in the building. Hi, Suzanne. Cristo, did you click on the links or on the side so that you could see everyone's comments?
I can now.
Whoop, whoop.
And how does is my sign too bright? I'm reducing the brightness.
He's going. Nika says, I still can't understand how someone can be so cruel to their family. Yeah, they've just written them off, I think. We do love Catherine. We do love Charles. Absolutely. All right, Cristo, this is my first time hearing Cristo's thoughts, and I am so anxious to hear what he thinks. I don't know. I need to ask you specifics, because this is a story that's like an octopus. It's all over the place. What are your thoughts on, let's just go to the leak first, because it's so much more interesting than the book. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, last week, hello everyone. Firstly, hi, nice to see you all. Love the sign. Thank you, Jackie. Bless you, Jackie. Thanks for noticing, Jackie. Thanks, Kinsey, for not noticing.
I love it. I love it.
I went all Meghan then. It's all about me. So this obviously, like you said, there's the two aspects. There's the book and there's the leak. I think that it is highly unlikely, especially as the Dutch translator has now been found, to say that all they did was translate the book. So somehow that Dutch translator was handed a copy with names in. There's no doubt about it, because they didn't. Yeah. The translator does not insert into the book. The translator translates.
Right.
So it is obvious that in some way, shape, or form that there was a copy of the book that had the names in it. Now, maybe at some point they were going to go for broke and put the names in. Maybe at some point they were thinking of copies abroad having the names in, copies in the UK not having names in.
Well, just to confirm that, just to that point, Omid Scobie told ABC's Nightline here in the States that he was considering releasing the names one day. So just to your point, and then in an interview with Vanity Fair that had to have happened weeks ago, but only came out a couple of days ago, Omid told Vanity Fair that he was ready to burn bridges. So yes, to me, that insinuates that the inevitable plan is to release that information. And while I wish it hadn't unfolded this way, what I will say about Piers Morgan is that he took the power away from Harry, Meghan, and Omid.
Yes, but he gave the power to himself, because let's be honest, what Piers Morgan does for Piers Morgan. There's no one else that Piers Morgan does it for other than Piers Morgan. And look, he's very good at being Piers Morgan and doing what he wanted to do for Piers Morgan. But I'm highly skeptical that they are looking into this error. Well, I'm highly skeptical that this was not an error that could have been avoided by simply there not being a copy out there with their names in the book. So there's that aspect. Omid Scobie is claiming that he is as devastated as everyone else, and that this has overshadowed the launch of the book. Now, either he is an absolute outright liar because he says all he did was the English version. That was all he signed off on. So are we to believe that someone in the publishers wrote a page or two that weren't in the original book? I
Right.
find it all very, very difficult to believe. But I mean, if he is not telling the truth, then he's doing a very good job of not telling the truth, because he is acting outraged and traumatized on, well, literally every single possible news media interview that he can get his face in front of.
Except he refuses to go on Talk TV. I've heard that multiple times.
Well, he probably won't go on with Piers Morgan, because that would be whom they would put him on with. I mean, I'd love to have him on my show on Talk TV. I don't think he'd do that either. But so there's that aspect of it. There is the aspect. There was a good interview with Omid Scobie on Newsnight here in the UK a couple of nights ago, last night, I think, actually. And what he was asked, which I thought was a really good question, is, this is about the royal family. Why do you never have any criticism for Meghan and Harry?
Yeah.
Within any of this, in any of your book, you have no criticism whatsoever. And his answer, which I thought was quite weak, was, well, look, this was only about the royals and what the royals need to do and why it's sort of the end game for the royals as they are now. And because Meghan and Harry aren't royal, it's not relevant to them. In fact, Meghan isn't mentioned until page 143 or something like that, which I, again, found interesting, because of course they're still relevant to the royal family. Just because they're not mentioned does not mean that they cannot be criticized as part of the royal family. And also, he wrote a book previously about Harry and Meghan. This was not a question that was followed up with, but I would have said, fine, but the book you wrote about Harry and Meghan finding freedom, you didn't criticize them in that either. So how can you possibly claim that you're not their mouthpiece when you're not remotely critical of them? I mean, even when you and I are fiercely critical of Meghan and Harry, I think we're quite balanced. And also, we're quite balanced when we are in praise of the royal family. We'll call them out if we think that they've done something wrong. But he has not done that at all with Meghan and Harry. So I'm not sure that he's being completely honest. I think that certainly his publishers are going to love every second of this circus. And
yeah, because it was only 5,000 copies that they had to pull back. I was like, 5,000 copies, that's a bonfire. That's a beachside bonfire. Are you kidding me? That's a suspiciously low number, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's like, how did this happen? If it was not planned, how did it happen? And even if, okay, so let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt. This was a version of the book that was never meant to be in the public domain. How did a version of the book with the names in ended up being given to a translator? That's the question that no one seems to be able to answer. How did even those 2 or 3 pages in the book with those names on, how did they end up in the hands of a translator?
And I don't feel like that story's as big as it could be. That the translator's been located. Both translators have been located. Both translators say, everybody just keeps repeating in their 30-second news bite that a Dutch version included the names, and Omid Scobie says he didn't put them there. Well, follow that up with both individuals that were hired to translate and look over each other's work claim that, state that those names were in the English version that they received, and they transcribed what was on the paper, and this is their job, this is their living, this is how they pay their bills, and they would never jeopardize that for what?
Well, absolutely. I mean, when a translator doesn't start putting stuff into a book, someone signed off somewhere on a copy with those names in the book, or a draft had those names in the book. And I mean, Omid says that he can swear. He said last night on Newsnight, I would swear on my life, I would swear on my family's life, I never wrote a version with those names in the book. So if he didn't, someone did. If he didn't, someone did. And if he didn't, like, fine, again, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's be the journalist he isn't and look at all the angles of the story. Even if, fine, we are to believe what he said, he did not write a version of the book, well, then someone in that publisher has so little respect for his reputation that they said, well, fine, we'll throw in a couple of pages. Let's make this book you know, really pop and really get some publicity for it, which doesn't show a great deal of respect for him either.
Yeah, Tricky Tone says, when racism is discussed, why do commentators rarely mention that Markle never invited any of her white family members to her wedding?
No,
I
black family members she never invited to her wedding. The only black family member at her wedding as well was, in fact, she didn't invite any family members to her wedding. The only
no,
family member she had at her wedding was her mother.
Tricky Tone, that's probably why, because she only invited one member of her family, and we are all distracted by George Clooney's presence, who openly admitted he had no idea who this woman was when he attended her wedding.
Oh, and Oprah. Oprah was the token black person. Imagine being Oprah and you're the
No,
token black.
Serena Williams. Serena
Oh,
Williams was
Idris
there.
Elba.
Idris Elba was the DJ. So, and we had the choir. We had, yeah. So, oh, well, thank you, HRH Queen. I appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. But I think that the book itself is rather boring. I don't want to criticize his writing because I don't ever pretend to be an expert in that, but I did not get lost in it or feel like I was there. I'm angry with the way that he covers some of the rumors surrounding the Wales family, because he almost allows you to think that it was like reading Demois. It was, he allows you to think that some of those rumors could be true. He's just so much more critical of William and Catherine than he is Harry and Meghan, that it's just, you're just offended while flipping the page. It's annoying.
And the thing is, as well, that I find a bit, why not go for them all? Because it's so obvious. It's so obvious if you write a book where you're just going to slag off the people that Harry and Meghan have a problem with, then it's so obvious that you lack credibility by doing that. I'm all for free speech. Write a book that slags off the royal family if you want to, absolutely, but be fair and balanced about it all, and slag off Harry and Meghan as well. Slag off all of them. Give some of their good points too. Be a journalist. Be a journalist. Don't just go for a hatchet job, because how can you then have any credibility when you do that? That's
he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it anymore. In my opinion, he let it slip last week and probably didn't realize what he was doing, that Prince William had taken away his access to the royal family. I think that he realized without having that access, it quite possibly has cost him multiple jobs in the States, because he's no longer with Harper's Bazaar. He's no longer with Yahoo. That this is just my guesstimate. But when a member of the royal family blocks you from that access and you have limited access now, how much content can you really give these employers that expect so much of you after something like Finding Freedom? And I wonder if this was his Hail Mary, that he just was like, I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to throw it all out there because I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because I don't think this is about what content can he give them. I think that this is about, if we employ him, we are making a very definite statement about what side we're on. And just like the brands, remember we've spoken before about brands and how Harry and Meghan want those premium Dior, really beautiful, Bentley, whatever brands that are absolute sort of A1 brands. But those brands won't want to annoy the royal family. It's the same thing. Those publications like Harper's Bazaar and Vanity Fair and all of those really high-end publications, they might sell a few copies by having Omid being a columnist for them, but the access that they would lose to the royal family, and not just the royal family, but then the society around them, because they are society magazines, would mean that they can't employ him. They wouldn't employ him. They're not.
I felt like he had a lot of it felt like he talked to a lot of people. His sources he claimed were people that worked within the royal family and worked within the royal fold. But if you read books by people I really truly admire, like Valentine Lowe or Tom Quinn, those people have been heavily critical of Harry and Meghan. Those people are not typically critical of William and Catherine. And so for Omid to get all of this dirt on these people, I thought that was a little suspicious.
Do you think that they should be more critical of William and Kate? Fair criticism, not hatchet criticism, but fair criticism.
I mean, if there's criticism to be had, they do tell stories like one time there was this row and so raised their voice. They'll say stories like that, but their stories about Harry and Meghan they made me feel so big. They made me feel this big. They made me feel small. They weren't very kind to the employees. And I think that's why you hear more stories about Harry and Meghan, because of the way Harry and Meghan made individuals feel in that position.
There is one other aspect to this story, and that is as well that there is I think I sent you this screenshot this week, Kinsey, and that is from the book. Hang on. I've just got your WhatsApp book, your WhatsApp left. I'm being reprimanded by people, by the way, for being late. And I sent you a WhatsApp going, I'm trying to connect because I tried to get my camera working. And you wrote one back going, I believe in you. I love that. Okay, I sent you this earlier this week, and it was a screenshot of the book by Christopher. I forget his surname.
Christopher Anderson.
Christopher Anderson. And it was a screenshot of an excerpt from the book where there is a conversation in front of some of the staff between Camilla, as she was then, the Duchess of Cornwall, and the Prince of Wales. And I'll just read you some of this. I wonder what the children will look like, Prince Charles mused to his wife over breakfast in Clarence House. Well, absolutely gorgeous, I'm certain, replied Camilla, taken aback somewhat by the question. Is there any doubt? Look at them, marvellous-looking couple. I mean, said the Prince of Wales, lowering his voice, what do you suppose their children's complexion might be? We'll find out eventually, I suppose, won't we? The Duchess of Cornwall replied before changing the subject, aware of the household staff members circulating within earshot. Camilla was significantly more circumspect than Charles, the result of decades spent masterminding their clandestine affair. Still, had it been just two grandparents speculating on the appearance of their future grandchildren, the exchange would have been innocent enough. But these weren't any just prospective grandparents, and the newly engaged couple they spoke of were at the epicenter of a royal romance that had captured the world's attention. So that is a conversation that happened in 2017. That was a conversation that was well reported. So my question is, firstly, is this just a rehash of that story where Charles and Camilla were speculating, what do you think their complexion might be like if they have a child? And secondly, has the words Princess of Wales been lost in translation, in as much as at the time Camilla was officially the Princess of Wales? She never used that title because of Diana, but in the household staff, when that conversation was being relayed around, was the title of the Princess of Wales used to describe Camilla? And has Kate been accused of this wrongly?
Well, I think that's an interesting point, because Tom Bower's book also claims that it was Camilla that made a statement that Meghan was referring to. So in Revenge, when Christopher Anderson's book came out, everybody thought it was King Charles. When Tom Bower's book came out, Tom Bower said innocent joke made by Camilla, the Queen, and let's all not forget Lady C, who said at the time that it was Anne, Princess Royal, who said something innocent. So there were so many names thrown out there. You're right. This could be some sort of transcription error or just an error in titles, because if you read Omid's book, there's a couple of errors in his titles there where he will refer to somebody as their previous title, or refer in the future, but refer to somebody as their past title. Like he gets the titles mixed up throughout the book.
Were behind closed doors. So say that the palace staff were the source of this story and were the source of where this conversation came from. All I'm questioning is, were Charles and Camilla, when Charles was Prince of Wales, were they referred to behind closed doors for just ease as the Prince and Princess of Wales at the time.
I don't know. I think that we all called her the Duchess of Cornwall. I think that would have been a story that would have been a story that in secret she was known as the Princess of Wales because Diana is so loved. I think that would have been a headline, and people would have been enraged over the fact that she was asking them to call her the Princess of Wales behind closed doors.
We're not even asking, but when they're getting stuff for it, it's for the Prince and Princess of Wales. I don't know, just while they're, we're doing dinner, it's for the Prince and Princess of Wales. Was it just for the ease of communicating who it was that the staff referred to Camilla and Charles as the Princess and Prince of Wales, just behind closed doors, not because anyone had asked for it, just for the ease of being able to know who people were talking about, because officially they were the Prince and Princess of Wales at the time. I don't know. You may well be right. I'm just speculating as to whether Kate has been wrongly suggested to have been the perpetrator here, because it's weird that it's the King, Charles, who was once the Prince of Wales, and the Princess of Wales as she is now.
His beloved, daughter-in-law is what he refers to her as. Gary says Catherine has been accused wrongly. I think accused is the wrong word, as it implies something wrong was said. I agree, Gary. It feels too like we've heard so many examples of what the king could have said, and then the Princess of Wales's name is just dropped in out of nowhere. So she's receiving all of this negative attention, and she could have simply been seated on a couch within a 3-foot radius of the man and said and did nothing. Like, we have no examples of her alleged unconscious bias. We have no examples of that. So to me, I'm just so annoyed that she steps out last night for work and is papped. And while she's getting out of her car, they're screaming at her, have you read Omid's book? Have you watched Piers Morgan? She's been put in such an unfair position that it truly makes me angry. I remember when I saw that when that name was out there, I called my mom and I said, I have to navigate this carefully because I'm going to be emotional about this. I think I can say it on YouTube. I think it's bullshit. Like, I think it's absolute bullshit. I don't think that there's any way, shape, or form that Catherine has a racist bone in her body. I don't think she was involved in anything sinister. And it just feels like Meghan has had one of the worst years of her life. She is stewing in her misery. This is my personal opinion. And they want to hurt her. They want to hurt Kate. And that was my first instinct going into this, seeing those headlines.
And again, if it isn't an innocent mistake, could it be a covert way if they really wanted to? And of course, let's remember, Meghan and Harry have denied, and Omid Scobie has denied ever speaking to Meghan and Harry about this book. Meghan and Harry, there is no proof at the moment that they had any direct contact with Omid Scobie. I think it's fair we just say that for balance. But could it also have been a way of throwing Kate under the bus, knowing that there was that confusion about titles, that actually, it was Charles and Camilla, the then Prince and Princess of Wales? Well, actually, now Kate's the Princess of Wales. It would be very easy to blur the lines, and clearly they have a problem with Kate. Clearly Meghan has a problem with Kate. This would be a very good way, knowing that Kate wouldn't respond, of getting revenge by using the Princess of Wales term, and everyone would go, oh, okay, it's Kate now, because Kate is the Princess of Wales now, but she wasn't then. Does that make sense?
And knowing that no one's going to correct the narrative because it's never complain, never explain. And it's been that way from the get-go. Also hearing and maybe being a little annoyed by the fact that it was Catherine, according to Valentine Lowe, that really wanted to stick it to them with the recollections may vary line. We're going to set her in her place if she, because recollections may vary has become such an iconic statement. I might get it tattooed on my forehead. I don't even know. But, yeah, it's just all very, I just think if I were Harry and Meghan, I'd regret that Oprah interview. I'd regret ever going down this path, because the actions we saw in the days and weeks leading up to the first release of the first preview of Omid's book in People magazine were acts of desperation to get back within the royal family fold. Oh, we weren't invited to the king's birthday. Oh, we're going to call the king. Well, we haven't been invited to Christmas, but we'd go. These are two people that are struggling with the fact that they have been removed from the fold. They're struggling with the fact that no one wants to work with them without their association to the royal family. And I don't think that Omid's book has done them any favors. And that's the only reason why I'm like, were they involved in this? Because this has just made relations 150,000 times worse.
And going back to, you're right. You're absolutely right on that. And again, if we go back to what conversation is being referred to here, if we are to believe that there is a chance that it is this 2017 conversation between Charles and Camilla, which was in front of people, and it could be taken one way, could be taken the other. But let's put that aside a second. If it was that conversation, well, let's now fast forward to the Oprah interview, where when Meghan was on her own, there were several conversations when she was pregnant with Archie about what color Archie's skin would be. When Harry joins her, oh, it was one conversation, and this was before, but while him and Meghan were just together, before Archie was even on the scene, before he was even pregnant with Archie. She was even pregnant with Archie, meaning that was not only a contradiction from what Meghan had said to Oprah, but also it would back up that he's referring to this conversation that was had between Charles and Camilla. But in actual fact, then Meghan in the Oprah interview thought, I'm going to lay it on with a trowel. I'm going to say that actually this was several conversations and make it sound much, much worse than it actually was, because that's a big contradiction. That's a big contradiction.
Well, and I just want to point out that the only person that has openly pondered what the baby might look like physically is Prince Harry, when he sat down with Stephen Colbert and said, wow, my ginger genes are strong. Look at those Spencer genes. I wondered if the baby was going to look like me, or if its mother's DNA was going to overpower our babies. You know, like, it's like Prince Harry said that on national television here in the States. He's also the only person to wear a prejudiced Halloween costume and make, and utilize horrible nicknames.
You know about the Nazi costume that he wore?
Yeah, yes. I just don't like to use that word on YouTube.
Do you know what I would call that? I'd call that conscious bias. I wouldn't call that unconscious bias. I would say that's very, very conscious bias.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth?
Like, it's bizarre. And also, then again, I'm pondering all of this out loud. It's really good to talk to you about it. Really good to get everyone's view on this. That if it is Charles, and Charles had somehow had this conversation with Camilla, and let's say that it was in a negative way, Charles has done more for. Maybe people who are watching in the States don't know this, but Charles has done more for young, underprivileged people of different ethnicities, ethnic minorities in this country than most people. I mean, literally,
in the world.
The Princess Trust has helped thousands of mainly young black men, actually, who have been in gangs, who have been born in poverty, who have had no mentors, all these things. For decades, the Princess Trust has helped thousands of young people. So what's suddenly in 2017, 30 or 40 years after he founded the Prince's Trust to help people with ethnic minorities, he's now worried about people's skin color.
Do you remember the huge debate we had on your show on Talk TV? And we had people calling in. They were very opinionated about it. This is a man that wanted to be the leader of all faiths. He did not want to exclude anyone. And so people were so either enthusiastic or so irate over it because they did not want to shift from what the Queen had done. But he wanted to be the defender of all faiths. He wants to protect everybody. He wants to include everyone. So how are we supposed to believe that this is a person that was concerned about something as trivial as a skin tone? I disagree. I don't even think it's possible. And to me, when I heard those two names, I thought, that's where this entire story goes south. I don't believe it anymore. This has totally blown up in Harry and Meghan's face, because I think between this and the 3-hour car chase, their credibility is completely shot.
And let's not forget Omid's lack of honesty in the past. I mean, he literally was in the interview with the Times last week where he spoke about not ever getting a private jet, and the Times journalist said here is an Instagram post from 3 days ago where you are on a private jet. Let's not forget that he did you know that story?
Yeah, well,
And
I,
he
I always like the story about him lying about his age. I do lie about my age, but I always say I'm like 2 years older than myself because I like to be in bed by 5 p.m. I never lie about my age backwards.
Well, I've been 39. It's my birthday next week, and I'm 39.
I could like Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City. Samantha was always 39.
Yeah. I'm now Scobying myself. I will be
Oh,
Scobied.
Marsha B says that after he was confronted about the private jet, he had the audacity to remove the post. Wow, I'll
Yeah,
have
he
to
did.
check that out and confirm it. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he did. No, he did. That's been confirmed. He deleted the post. Miranda earlier, so I've already got to this now, saying, oh no, it's Tiffany. Hello, Miranda, though. Do you think they should remove their titles depending on the outcome of this? Well, Tiffany, I think Harry will always be a prince because he's the son of the king, but I'm surprised they want their titles. This is what I've never understood, is that I don't know why they want their titles when it is such a toxic and insidious institution. I would want to run away as fast as possible, but they need their titles in order to monetize their victimhood, but also they um they that's why all of this is being dredged up again, because
Well,
if you
I
notice,
just
there's not
really
been
quick
much material for them.
stay where you're at. But I just wanted to mention, while you're talking about their titles, it was Meghan that went on the huge linked not ranked spree shortly after they left the British royal family. I believe she gave Gloria no, who is it? She gave one of her friends. Let me see. It was Meghan called attention to the quote during a Q&A with activist Gloria Steinem. It was with,
Oh, did you?
what did I miss? What did I miss? But so
I
Meghan
turned
said,
off my camera by accident. Don't worry.
she said that that quote means everything to her. It's about being linked, not ranked. So that's interesting, especially when I hear from people like NT Lawyer that Meghan insists at William Morris Endeavour that they refer to her as the Duchess of Sussex whenever
Yeah.
she walks through the agency doors.
Why would she want to be? Why on earth would she want to be called something like that when she so hates the title so much and considers it to be a racist institution? It's so bizarre. But I think that this is all a part of them needing to dredge all this back up again. They could put a stop to this tomorrow and say,
Yeah, it could be over. This conversation could be over with. And that's why I wonder how much collaboration did happen between the two parties, because are both parties not throwing the other under the bus because they continue to need each other?
yes, and they also they can easily say we have not contributed to this book, but that doesn't mean that they haven't passed on through intermediaries information or approved intermediaries talking to Omid Scobie, which has been well known and well done before. And of course, that's exactly what happened with Finding Freedom. Their levels of honesty are extremely questionable when it comes to this stuff, because they lied about saying they didn't contribute to Finding Freedom when they did. They are holding on to this racism story like a life raft. They really are, because it's
But
all
do
they've got.
you think that Pierce Morgan taking that, do you feel like what Pierce Morgan did took some power away from them? Or are we talking about needing to hear from them because they still have some power?
I think that I that's a good question. Oh, that is a very good question. My fear with what Piers Morgan did is that now, in the eyes of the United Kingdom, they've got what they want, i.e., there are now going to be some people in the United Kingdom that think that Kate is a racist.
Oof.
So
She's
that's
not.
because as it was before, no one was reporting that the names in the book were Kate and King Charles. No one was reporting that here in the UK until Piers said it. And even the newspapers that are talking about it here in the UK, since it's been reported, are saying that the Piers named them, but aren't saying who Piers named. They're still being really careful. So my fear is that it might have actually empowered Harry and Meghan, because it's actually given them what they want. The home market is the UK. This is where the royals are, and it might well have actually given Harry and Meghan exactly what they wanted.
Wow, man. I don't know. I think that one of my dogs is trying to get in. Hold on.
Oh,
Hello?
right.
Okay. No. So yeah, I think that that it's been very destructive towards the royal family. And people keep saying, well, it's for PR, it's going to drum up, hey girlfriend, it's going to drum up book sales. And I think, is it? This isn't even in the book. This was just a leak from a mistakenly translated Dutch version. These types of tidbits aren't what you find in the book.
Well, KPWHU says no one in the UK thinks that, Cristo. I think no one sane in the UK thinks that, but I beg to differ. Go on Twitter, and perhaps Twitter is a bad example, but there are loads of people that are believing this racism story, that believe that the royal family are racist, that are backing Harry and Meghan in all of this. It's just dredged it all back up again, and so I'm not sure I agree. It's taken power away from Harry and Meghan. I think it might have actually fueled the fire for them.
Well, Raven has an interesting question. What if Harry did not know that Meghan gave this information to Omid Scobie? There has been suspected trouble in paradise for a while. I think that's an interesting theory. I won't say anything.
I mean, I don't think there's any trouble in paradise. But well, they need each other, though. They're sort of the toxic twins, aren't they? They
Yeah,
need each
they're
other.
they really have become hermits in their home. And I do think that their circle is so small, and they're likely very lonely individuals. Did you read on TMZ last week that they're looking at real estate in Los Angeles? I thought that was an interesting development when we've seen Meghan spending a lot of time in Meghan has been spending a lot of time in LA. There were reports that she was sleeping at this hotel that was close to William Morris Endeavor because, she was spending so much time working, doing what? I'm at a complete loss. But so this idea that TMZ is reporting that they're looking for real estate in Los Angeles so the family could live closer to where Meghan works. That's something to stay on our radar. And then
that's maybe there is trouble. Sorry, a lot of people are actually. Can I just say that a lot of people are rightly pointing out that look, it was all over social media, and that people would have known in the UK because it was all over social media. But I think the difference is, and again, you're welcome to disagree, and maybe I'm not getting this right, but I feel like as well that when something's on social media, there's always that, well, okay, it's on social media. When it goes on to broadcast media, it sort of ends up with an air of credibility that it didn't have before. And I can't help but feel that although I think you're right, a lot of people won't believe it, it having gone on broadcast media now does give the story an air of more credibility than it had before.
And you know what else we should point out? I talked to NT Lawyer about this a little bit. He's the blogger from crazydaysandnights.net. He said, as an attorney, when he read the transcripts from Omid Scobie's testimony, when he testified for Prince Harry in some of the litigation about the tabloids invading his privacy, he said, note that Omid said that he doesn't communicate with Harry. He doesn't have Harry's phone number. He's not friends with Harry. He said, as an attorney, you are taught to read between the lines and to accept what's being said, but what's not being said. And what wasn't being said was Omid wasn't saying, I'm not friends with Harry and Meghan. I'm not friends with I don't have Harry and Meghan's phone number. He just specifically said, I'm not friends with Harry. I don't have Harry's phone number. You know, that's what Omid said he took away from that. That's what Enki said he took away from Omid's testimony.
Yeah, so it's very specific, isn't it? I'm telling the truth. I don't have Harry's number, but that doesn't mean that you're not communicating in some way. Can we also, if we got time, can we talk about this a little bit? This is actually the Times interview that was given by Omid prior to the leak of the name, because there's some interesting things in here which I found quite fascinating. The Princess of Wales, portrayed as a woman terrified to do anything more than a grinning photo ops. In the coverage of Kate, we infantilize her massively, so the bar is always lower, says Omid Scobie in this interview. The small achievements that we've seen from the Princess of Wales wouldn't perhaps be noticed if it was from another member of the royal family. But with Kate, it's like, wow. So this, of course, was before the name was released. And I think some of this has been swept under the carpet now.
Yeah. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's quite a scathing assessment of the now Princess of Wales and future Queen. What do you make of that?
Well, misogynist is a good term for it. Yeah, misogyny. I do think we treat Catherine differently because we know Catherine, because we've grown up with Catherine. Catherine dated Prince William for a decade. We have gotten to know her family members. Her brother has been so open about his struggles with mental health. So we know her family almost intimately. We know that her parents are self-made. They've gone through financial issues over the last few years, but they were incredibly financially successful entrepreneurs. We've had we have a better understanding of who Catherine is through a family that is incredibly close. And then we watched the way that Catherine dealt with the negative press. Lady Katie, they had to use video of Catherine being accosted by photographers in the Netflix series for Harry and Meghan, because those types of videos didn't exist around Meghan. We treat Catherine differently because we've seen her overcome real struggles and we've seen her persevere, whereas Meghan couldn't cut it after 17 months within the royal family, 22 months, maybe 22 months within the royal family. Meghan is a quitter. Catherine has shown that she is courageous, she's brave, she's strong. She looked at the lifestyle of her husband. She looked at his emotional struggles and said, our children aren't going to be brought up that way. Catherine is not a part-time royal. She's a full-time mom. And she has changed the landscape for being a princess and a royal mom, because she did not want her children to feel as isolated and traumatized as she knew her husband was. And so we might cut her some slack because she doesn't show up 7 days a week, because we know she is showing up 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for her children on top of her royal duties. And she's incredibly, truly passionate about these initiatives that she has picked out, because she studied this in trying to pursue a strong upbringing for her own children. I mean, Harry and William had a very dysfunctional upbringing. To deny that is a lie. They were sent off to school. Their parents were both cheating on each other. Their mother died at a young age, leaving them vulnerable and feeling like something was stolen from them. And I think Catherine has done an incredible job of ensuring that her family feels safe, her babies feel seen, her babies know that they're loved. And so while he can call her a part-time royal or whatever, she is a full-time mom raising beautiful, sweet, happy babies that when we have the privilege of seeing them at royal engagements are full of joy. And I think that her job is a lot harder than Meghan's because she is going to be queen consort one day. And what she has shown is that she is up to the challenge. She's a dutiful princess, and Meghan's a quitter. So yeah, they're treated differently.
I agree they're treated differently. I don't think she's infantilized. I think that there are two strands to this. Firstly, there is something we do here. I mean, the British tabloids are probably the worst tabloids in the world. I think they're worse than the American tabloids. They are brutal. They are ruthless. And what we do in this country, with a lot of people in the public eye, is that we love them. We introduce ourselves to them. We meet them. We loved Kate. Then we hate them. And then the tabloids do everything they can to bring them down, which did happen with Kate, Doors to Manual, Waity Katie, all of this sort of stuff. Then, if you get through that, they love you again. And once you've gone through that, then you're loved again, and you're there, and you've hit the jackpot, and you will remain loved unless you do something really, really out of step. So Kate went through that. I feel like Meghan quit when she started going through some of the criticisms, but Kate sort of hung on. And it's not a nice thing we do in this country, but it is what we do. It is what the tabloids do. So that's the first part.
And Cristo, don't forget that Meghan was warned about that. Remember her friends in that Bradby interview in Africa that caught William and Catherine off guard. Well, thanks for asking if I'm okay. Her friends warned her and said, are you sure you want to go down that route? This route with Prince Harry? Because here's what will be expected of you. Here's the journey you're going to go on. The press is going to criticize you. They're going to look into your background. They're going to say, well, why did your parents get divorced? When did they get divorced? What do your parents do for a living? Do you go to church?
Going to say you've been visiting underprivileged people who have no access to water in Africa, and you're going to talk about how sad things are for you. You're going to get criticized for doing that. But the other thing is that even though we have a tabloid press that I think, which I love. I mean, I swallow it all up. I absorb it all. I love it, even though I see the bad stuff around it. But we are also an incredibly patriotic country. And we are always, Catherine is now the Princess of Wales. She will be the heir to the throne with William. She will be the Queen Consort, as you pointed out. She will always be bigged up now because of that, because she's remained faithful. She's not put a foot wrong, and we are patriotic. We will give her an easier time. The Queen, Elizabeth, the late Queen, there were very few occasions in her life that the press turned on her. There were a few, but very, very few. Very, very few indeed. Why? Because we don't want to bring down the institution, because she's our head of state. She will be our head of state. So I think I think it's probably a fair comment to say that she gets a little bit of easier treatment. I think that this is not written in the kindest way. I don't think he's saying it in the kindest way.
I wouldn't even say she's given. I wouldn't even say she's given easier treatment necessarily. I think we treat her differently. I wouldn't say we're giving her easier treatment because Meghan purposely pushes buttons that Catherine didn't. Meghan purposely shows up with black fingernail polish at an event. Meghan purposely shows up at an event and doesn't give anybody a warning because she wants things on her terms. Remember when she showed
up? She writes on bananas.
She challenges the system in ways that are unnecessary and just kind of to do it, just to kind of, cross the line, just to kind of just agitate people. And so we do treat them differently because Catherine doesn't. Catherine does her job. She shows up, she goes to work, she does what she's supposed to do.
And in fairness as well, and the reason she probably does get an easier time, and I say this with love, but it's a fair comment, I feel. You can tell me if it's not. She's quite boring. There's actually not much to say about it. She does her job. She does her charitable stuff. She's really great, but she doesn't really put a foot wrong. She's
I don't know if I use the word
interesting to write about. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Meghan was always trying to go on a soapbox and therefore opened herself up for criticism. Whereas, and I'm not saying, Catherine, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying if you're a member of the royal family, to be quite boring is quite good. It is. That's
Well,
absolutely what it should be.
That was one of Diana's challenges, to trying to fit in. I'd say that Catherine is safe, but I wouldn't say boring. If I could not live in my teeny tiny Los Angeles apartment, and if I could marry a prince and live in Kensington Palace and get, have somebody hand me a tiara whenever I wanted to go to the grocery store, like, that's an exciting life. That is technically Catherine's life. So I wouldn't describe her as boring. She went to a rave not too long ago. Remember, where her and her friends left a huge tip? They went to like an all-night rave. So I think there's certainly a different side to her.
I've forgotten she'd gone to a rave. Fair. And maybe KPWHU has written it better. Like, acting appropriately for her role is not boring. So perhaps boring is too much of a harsh word, but she's just, from a tabloid fodder point of view, there's not much to write about, is what I'm saying, because she just toes the line. She does what she's supposed to do. And so perhaps from a tabloid perspective, she's not as interesting, but that's good. In the royal family, that's brilliant.
She's not
that's
just compared.
The late Queen would have wanted.
She's not just compared to Meghan, though. The tabloids are disappointed in Catherine content-wise, because she's not just compared to Meghan, a Hollywood starlet, a Hallmark starlet. I'll take a Hallmark starlet. She's compared to Princess Diana, who was, going to hospitals late at night, not just to sit with patients, but to flirt with the doctor she was dating in secret. Diana was sneaking around hospitals at 3 a.m. and getting her picture taken. Diana was having an affair with the handsome redheaded horse, the polo player or whatever, James Hewitt. Diana gave them plenty of content, and so Catherine's not just compared to Meghan, she's also compared to Diana, who was a whole lot of fun, if we're being honest.
The Diana stuff was a very, very interesting period, because actually the entire nature of reporting changed during that period as well. The 80s became, I think, a very different time for the way in which the royals were spoken about and reported about. A lot of the reverence, a lot of the deference to the royals was lost in the 80s, and they were seen as much more flawed people. And Diana, I think, was a big part of that. I think prior to that, the tabloids didn't go in on them in any way, shape, or form near them. So it was almost like these two perfect worlds colliding. Was that the tabloids suddenly realized that actually the more salacious sides of the royal family they could talk about and get away with reporting, and Diana knew as well, oh, you know what, I can play with this a little bit too, as did Charles, and I can play with this too. And in actual fact, I think a lot of what they did then they wouldn't probably get away with now. I mean, I'm not sure that an amateur radio hack recording a private conversation on a landline, I'm not sure that would be reported now.
No, absolutely not. But it would end up on the internet. So what I was just about to say is that you have you talked about how there was a shift in the 80s, but don't forget that Wallace and Edward were in a relationship, and for a very significant amount of time, and the abdication was being discussed, and actually, there were plans for an abdication happening behind the scenes for a very significant amount of time. American media was reporting that Wallis Simpson was in this relationship with the king, and that how damning this is. She has a husband. This would be her second divorce, and UK media wouldn't touch it because they had to protect the royal family. And despite the fact that these reporters are, with their cigarettes, sitting there with Churchill, watching Wallace, swinging around with Edward on the dance floor, it was not in their own protocol at the time. Or think about the Kennedys. Everybody that was reporting on Kennedy knew he was sleeping with Marilyn Monroe and had all of these women on the side.
Anything with a pulse.
Yeah, but they were protecting him for some reason. And people have compared what just happened with Pierce and this this Dutch translation to the Wallace and Edward thing. Why are we not naming names? Why, why is this so odd? But I think it's been truly out of respect for the royal family, and really it's just so unfair when this is another Harry and Meghan contradiction. They said in the Oprah Winfrey interview that it was one individual. They didn't say that it was two individuals. All of a sudden, within the last few weeks, it becomes two individuals. Okay, the name Charles has been floated around forever, but to drop the Princess of Wales in like a bomb with no context whatsoever, it's absolutely insane and unfair.
Yeah, especially when we also heard, as I said before, that this conversation happened when Harry and Meghan first got together. Oh no, actually no, this happened when Meghan was pregnant with Archie. Meghan said that there were multiple conversations. Harry said that there was one conversation. So there have been massive contradictions in this story that haven't been picked up on. The other thing from this interview is that what do you want to say, Kinsey? Go on.
Oh, I don't want to say anything. I just thought that I just put this comment on the screen. You can be boring if you love cold night swimming and play beer pong. I think they meant you can't be boring if you love cold late night swimming and to play beer pong. So that's funny.
He says, we're at a pivotal moment. This is Omid Scobie. We're at a pivotal moment in a time where the future of the royal family, as we know it, is in crisis. He says that the crisis being a lack of interest from young people, an apathy, a growing Republican movement, questions over whether the family still uphold the morals and values of the crown that the Queen did such a great job of. But when you look at the cast of characters, it has been questionable. What do you think of that? Would you say that that's a fair assessment of what's happening with the future of the royal family, or would you say again that that's perhaps harsh?
I think Omid Scobie is trying to justify writing a bitter book, a bitter sounding gossipy book. I think I would love to know if you agree with me. I am amazed at how well King Charles has transitioned into his role. And I wondered if there was going to be a bit of chaos after the Queen died, or if people would reject him, or if people would reject Queen Camilla. And I have been pleasantly surprised by the amount of support that the couple has had. I haven't seen him on a royal engagement yet, but I look forward to it. But when I see video and pictures, he's glowing. He's clearly so grateful for the amount of love he's receiving from all these people that are standing there waiting to touch him and meet him with their cell phones. And I did not expect things to be so positive after the Queen passed away. I did think that people were going to go, whoa, 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 should we even continue with this? And there wasn't even a second of that. It's been full support behind King Charles. I don't think that he's done anything over the last year since the Queen died, more than a year now. I don't think he's done anything that she would disapprove of. And I think that William and Catherine are going to bring in a new generation excited about the royal family, and they're doing that. They're sexy. I love watching them touch in public, hold hands. She'll pat his butt. The way that they look at each other, like, it's just so romantic, and they are the fairy tale. And I think that fairy tale, that true love will continue to attract an audience.
I think that I mean that it would be wrong to say it's undoubtable that there has been more of a Republican movement since the Queen died. But I think that would be Queen Elizabeth. I would have been amazed if that hadn't been the case. I think it was expected. Of course, that was going to happen. I don't think it's been in any way as prominent as was expected. There were some protests at the coronation. There have been a few protests here and there, but the last major poll, I think, put support for the royal family as a whole at 58%. I think far higher among older people. But I think that the issue that Charles has is that he's not going to be king for very long, in comparison to in comparison to his mother. But also who in God's name could have followed Queen Elizabeth? Honestly, so I agree. I think he's actually doing an exceptional job, bearing in mind
Mother
that
Teresa.
anyone who followed her was going to find it really, really tough, because it was inevitable that it was going to be difficult, and it was inevitable that she was the longest reigning monarch in history, who never put a foot wrong, who we'd never heard anything, very barely anything negative from. The only time we ever, I think, properly turned on Queen Elizabeth was after the death of Diana, and that was us as well. You know, when I look back at that period, the very things that we loved Queen Elizabeth for, I'm sorry, I'm going on off a bit of tangent now, but the very things we loved Queen Elizabeth for, right, were she's stoic, she was, you know, someone who got on with the job, someone who put family first, someone who wasn't overly sort of emotional or sentimental, someone who put duty over and above anyone else, right? And those were always the qualities that we said that we loved the most about Queen Elizabeth, until Diana died. And when Diana died, she was stoic. She put family before everyone else. She did all the things we've loved her for. And then we, the public, not her, said, actually, no. All the things we said we wanted from you, we've now changed our minds, and we want you to come on television and be all emotional and gushing and blubbing and everything else. And so we changed our minds. We decided we wanted something different from her. All she gave us when Diana died was what she'd given us all along. And then once Diana died, she went back to doing exactly what she'd done before, and we loved her for the same reason again.
And in recent years, William and I believe maybe perhaps Harry have, but I only can see William in my head saying this. That's the only memory I have, is William going on TV and defending her for it, saying that she was just trying to protect her grandchildren and that she hadn't done anything wrong in that time.
Sorry, did you just hear that? My Siri went on and started trying to...
All of a sudden, Queen starts playing. Alexa, play "We Are the Champions."
Now playing Spice Girls.
Oh God, it's doing it again.
Now playing Spice Girls. Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
Stop mentioning that word, because Siri keeps coming on. I don't know why. Okay.
Sandy says, remember a history of the royal family did a home video because they were losing support. Yeah, they did a home video that I think that was with the BBC, and I think it might have aired on PBS here in the States, and it got really rave reviews. But the family was so uncomfortable when they watched it that they asked it to be put in a vault and never shown again. And
talking about the 1960s documentary that was Prince Philip's idea.
And it ended up on YouTube a few years ago, and I definitely saved it to my computer because I was like, but we might not ever see this again. I better save it. And it was cute. It was cute, but it was too much access to these people that are supposed to be, you know, like these superior individuals, like to see them like grilling. I was like, no, Prince Philip looks too much like my dad.
No one wanted to see them scrubbing down their barbecue. You know, no one wanted to see that. There was another, I wish I could find it. There was another hilarious quote. Oh, this is brilliant. This is the best quote ever, right? Scobie says that William is hot-headed in this book, as you said. He's increasingly comfortable with the palace's dirty tricks and the courtiers who dream them up. Scobie claims it is William who, through his loyal aides and press relationships, has painted his younger brother as mentally fragile. William hasn't painted Harry as mentally fragile. Harry has painted Harry as mentally fragile.
Yeah, exactly. It's Harry going on the Armchair podcast to talk about his mental health and going on the Me You Can't See with Oprah Winfrey. Are you just looking for your Alexa?
I'm looking for my copy. I think my husband has hidden. Oh no, it's there. It's here. Can you see it on the bookshelf? It's here.
There it is.
Again, these are all the examples of Harry being mentally unstable. All of them. There are so many of them. Like,
I shouldn't laugh.
Like, no, he literally wrote in his book about how he had a conversation with Courtney Cox's pedal bin, and the pedal bin answered back. I mean, that is mentally unstable. That is mentally unstable. The pedal bin answered back. I mean, am I wrong to think that he has done a very good job of painting himself as mentally unstable?
Yeah, he also did that. Remember that chat with the guy's name that I'm forgetting? He had that therapy session with that guy where you had to buy a second copy of Spare. Yes, I mean, it's Harry that's putting that stuff out there. I also think, just to your point, that Harry thinks it's a competition because it was, according to Spare, it was those initiatives were a competition within the household. If Harry wanted Africa, then William definitely wanted Africa. So William was upset if Harry got Africa when it came to what charities they were going to be, what patronages they were going to have. And so it's almost like Harry has overshared because he just wants to be the face of mental health. But in doing so, it's made him look unstable, and it makes him look almost, annoying because he won't stop oversharing. But this idea of William, I believe that William has a temper because there is a Windsor temper. We know that there's a Windsor temper. Prince Philip had it, King Charles has it, and so I do believe that Prince William has a temper. But when it comes to this idea of him being this slimy, strategizing behind the scenes, power hungry future monarch, I call BS. This is a kid that used to sit in the back seat in his car seat with his mom and say, "I don't want to be king." And Harry would go, "I'll be king if you don't want to be king." Like this is a man.
I do disagree. I think that William. I don't think William is what they're saying he is. I don't think he's this ruthless, terrible operator. He's just preparing himself for the role. He's doing what we want him to do.
He's setting healthy boundaries. He's setting healthy boundaries. He's setting healthy boundaries away from people that have proven to be vindictive, malicious, to proven to be liars. He's saying, I'm not going to give you access to myself because you'll lie about me not answering the phone. You'll lie about me not giving you a ride on our jet. Oh my God, did you have to spend $30,000 on a private jet? I don't have $30,000 if I need it to get, a pool. Or a tooth fixed. I don't have that kind of money. I'm so sorry, Harry, that you have $30,000 that you can jump on a private jet to see your grandmother that you refused to see, you rejected to see in the days before she died. I'm so sorry. But I'm not saying William's a reluctant king either. I think today he wants to be king. He's looking forward to the position, but he's certainly not this jerk and this power hungry, crazy person that Omid's accusing him of being.
He doesn't have to be as well, because you know what? And my mother always gives this advice, and it's the best advice ever. Those who've got it don't flaunt it, and those who haven't do. And Harry hasn't got it, so he's got to flaunt it. He's got to play the victor. He's got to do all this stuff. William's going to be king. He's got nothing to prove. He's just going to crack on. He's going to do what he's doing. He's preparing himself for the role. He's surrounding himself with the right people to do that. He doesn't need to get involved in petty crap about... Would you like to hear an excerpt from Spare? Actually, we do like to do an excerpt from Spare.
As long as it's a carefully curated one and not one of those random boring ones where I'm like, why are we doing this to ourselves?
No, it's not. This is a good one. This is a good one. Meg asked to borrow Kate's lip gloss. An American thing.
No, it's not, by the way. We hate herpes. It's not an American thing.
Herpes is so American. Meg forgot hers, worried she needed some, and turned to Kate for help. Kate, taken aback, went into her handbag and reluctantly pulled out a small tube. Meg squeezed some onto her finger and applied it to her lips. Kate grimaced. Small clash of styles, maybe? Something we should have been able to laugh about soon after, but it left a little mark. And when the press sensed something was up and tried to turn it into something bigger, here we go, I thought sorrowfully. It was all Kate's fault over the lip gloss. Guess what, Harry? That's mentally fragile. That is mentally fragile. That's woohoo. Hello.
That's actually pretty hilarious. That's a really good example of that, because when I'm talking about Harry and Meghan, how they're interpreted today, one word I try to use is insecure, because they feel so sensitive and insecure over that's such a stupid example of feeling slighted. I've never borrowed someone's lip gloss. Think germs are gross, especially after a plague. But if I did borrow someone's lip gloss, I'd pinch it onto my finger and then apply it. I wouldn't apply it directly from that person's lip balm, because that's a one-way ticket to Herpy Town, and I prefer not to do that.
This is the Duchess of Cambridge as she was at the time. Do you know what I mean? You're not two girls like, asking for tampons in the bloody toilet cubicle next door to each other in a nightclub. Do you know what I mean? You're not like, oh my God, like, let's share stuff. Oh, can I borrow your knickers? I've forgotten mine. No, you're a member of the royal family. You don't go foraging around in each other's bags for lip
Yeah.
gloss. They'll just,
Also, Megan, you're an actress. You're a Hollywood actress who used to call up the paparazzi and say, hey, do you mind catching me as I leave my yoga studio on Saturday morning? And you're telling me that you forgot your lip balm? That you're supposed to be level expert at being camera ready, rets to go. That sounds like a personal failure, Megan. That has nothing to do with Catherine.
But also, it just goes to show just the level of, is that all you've got? Lip gloss, a talking pedal bin, a dog bowl that attacked you, and the smallest room at Sandringham. I mean, my God, 150,000 words on that. And then you think that other people are trying to make you mentally unstable? No, you're a nut job. You're an absolute nut job.
Allegedly.
You're a nut. Allegedly, you're a no. I mean, he's spoken about how insane he is. So
Yeah.
I just like, but of course, it's everyone else's fault. It's everyone else's fault. This time, I hadn't actually made the connection about Kate actually with the lack of lip gloss being responsible for then the press picking up on that, and that being the downfall of Meghan's good relationship with the press. So it all came down to that lip gloss. There we go.
Exactly. It's not Oprah Winfrey. Let's all forgive Oprah.
That's cuckoo. That is absolutely cuckoo. It really is. I'm sorry, it is.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered that Omid Scobie's new book sucks. I don't really know if I have anything else to say about it, but I'm looking forward to seeing if there's an actual investigation. If the investigation ends up like the alleged bullying investigation at Kensington Palace and in Buckingham Palace did, will it end up in a vault? Will we find out how it all unfolded? But somebody did ask us earlier, were all of the books published on the same day worldwide? And the answer is yes. So all of those transcriptions, they were submitted at the same time. They came in at the same time. The book was published at the same time. The books were published at the same time. And Omid says that he found out about this on social media. So he didn't independently have a third party going through everything, going, I checked this out, looks good. And that's why I believe that BBC was right when they said the buck stops with you.
Yeah, they did say the buck stops with you. And they said, do you want to apologize? He made a point, actually, that no other royal reporter is asked about their source, but he is, and that's unfair. What do you think
I
about
literally am. Australia does that to me all the time, and I can't believe they ask it. I always stumble over it. They'll be like, who have you heard that from? And I'm not going to say who I heard that from. I remember I said, well, word on the street, and she goes, what street? Like that's how intense Australia is. So that's not true. I get asked who my sources are. And I get asked who my sources are in the elevator at Talk TV. Oh, I'll be with other royal commentators and they'll be like, how did you know that? Who do you talk to over there? I'm asked about it constantly.
Yeah, well, he says that they're not. And that, but of course, what's relevant is whether the source is their sources and their sources. And there is a big question over what involvement Harry and Meghan had in this book. And that is the million dollar question. And I think it's a reasonable question when you consider Finding Freedom and the fact that all that we found with Finding Freedom was that they found that they lost their memory over contributing to a best-selling book. Hello, Tammy.
But also, can we just say that Omid's whole tone throughout this I don't know, what do you want to call it? Is it a crisis management situation? Has been victim mode. It's been giving Harry and Meghan victimhood mode. It's, no, I don't want to apologize because I don't know what happened. And I'm really proud of this book and I'm really frustrated. Like his whole tone throughout this whatever crisis management situation, has it been like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And I apologize that I put the royal family in that position. But, I think that this is an incredible miscommunication, or I think that I've been incredibly let down by my Dutch publishers. He's just very much like, and I'm going to figure it out. He's not taking any sort of accountability, or just to be nice, just to be, empathetic towards what the Princess of Wales is currently going through. It's just like, well, my book came out and nobody wants to talk about it. All they want to talk about is this, and I'm mad about it.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, I don't know how this happened, and I'm devastated about it. And but I really wanted this to be a chance for the royals to learn about unconscious bias. I mean, I mean, he's biased against his own age.
Yeah, there's ageism in your activity,
He's
Omen.
biased against his own face. So I'm sorry. Yes. I'm biased against, I'm not going to go down that road. But
HRH Queen says that he needs to be sued. There's been talk about the royal family. I believe it was the Telegraph said that the royal family is considering all options. So, of course, every newspaper and every TV outlet is now having the conversation, will they sue? I think they won't sue. I would secretly, I feel like instinctually, I would love if they would go down that route to really scare some people and get answers. But I don't think that'll happen because it opens them up to too much if they do that.
Yeah, I don't think they'll sue. The people who would be most likely to sue would be Harry and Meghan, I think. And in fact, we some of the broadcast media have been given legal notes to say you need to be quite careful about making a direct connection between Harry and Meghan and the book.
Which is why everything you watch, when somebody says something off the cuff, there will be an anchor at the desk going, and we just need to remind you, and I just want to make the point.
Yeah,
interrupting
you do have to do that, because when it comes to themselves, they're extremely litigious, but sometimes that's come to bite them on the bum, because of course, let's not forget, that's how we found out that they'd contributed to Finding Freedom. So it doesn't always work out, but it will be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see whether there is a backlash. It'll be interesting to see how much people believe the book. It'll be interesting to see whether social media is a barometer of what is actually going on out there. But also, I'll return right back to where we started. To me, all this shows is that they've got nothing else. They've had to dredge up all of this again, if they contributed to it or if their friends did, or however Omid Scobie has got to this story again. This is all they've got. There's nothing new. Nothing new. This is the royal racism story again from, the Oprah interview 4 years ago, like from a conversation that might have happened in 2017. There's nothing. They've got nothing new.
Not even proof. The book doesn't even include proof or context. Do you have like 5 minutes or less? Could we just, do you want to take questions from the chat room, or do you need to go?
Yeah, we can do some questions. By the way, just one other thing to point out, 150,000 words in here, not one mention of it in here as well. That
really?
alleged.
I thought it was only like 400. I said that in an article. I thought it was only 400 or something pages. I was like, 400 pages? Oh, you said words.
Yeah. 400 words. It wasn't 150,000 pages. Good God. I'd have bludgeoned myself to death with it if it was that long.
Yeah. All right. If you have any questions, we will stick around for the next few minutes and answer them. Cristo's going to patiently look through his favorite book, and it's next to the Bible.
Yeah, it is. I take this to bed with me every single night, and I'm campaigning for a copy to be in every single hotel room around the world. Like, instead of the Bible, I want it to be in the bottom drawer of every bedside table in every hotel in the world.
Every time I go to a Holiday Inn, I know I'm going to get a nice warm breakfast with a side of flies and my copy of Spare.
Oh, your copy of Spare to read before bedtime for guidance.
All right. Asif says, do you think that this is just a new publicity stunt by the Sussexes to try to boost their popularity, as their popularity is so low now, so that it can overshadow another royal event? I think that they have been advised recently that the victimhood narrative is not popular, and that they have got to change directions, and that they've got to move forward and stop being so focused on the past. And this is the opposite of that advice. So I would say that this is, and don't forget, Cristo, this book was supposed to come out much earlier than it did. It was postponed. So if allegedly, perhaps H&M knew it was on the horizon, they might have prepared for something to go down much earlier. And maybe they forgot, or maybe that it was no longer, they forget a lot, or maybe it was no longer on their radar. But because we had seen in the weeks leading up to this a real attempt by Harry to spend some time and to reconnect with his family. So I don't think that this was a publicity stunt on their end. I would question whether it was. Omid says it's not, but I would question whether it is on his end. But on their end, I think that they know better by this point.
Okay, Cristo, do you think that Harry and Meghan will keep doing these tactics when Prince William will be king? Yes, the more ammunition that they have, I believe that they will. I believe you're right, Kinsey, that they have been told that they need to be careful with these constant attacks, but they don't like William and Catherine, and I think that they also want to monetize all of this stuff. They want the money. And so if they're not going to get brands and deals and all of this sort of stuff, they're going to keep returning to this, unless, of course, there's no evidence and there's no ammo. I've said many times when I've been asked on TV myself, should they attend this? Should they attend that? Should they have gone to the King's 75th birthday? Should they have done all these things? And I've said absolutely, but they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. That's the only way they can be invited anywhere now, because otherwise they'll say something happened and there'll be yet more. So that's my answer to that.
All right, Marcia B says, will William Morris Endeavor ever drop Meghan? I don't know what is William Morris Endeavor's internal response to this debacle. Tammy, I'll ask NT Lawyer this weekend about that. But will they ever drop Meghan? I don't know the answer to that. Meghan does seem to go through people that she works with quickly lately. She does not tend to spend a lot of time with people she's collaborating with for very long, because I think that she is very, in my opinion, she's likely very controlling and has a very specific way of the way she wants things done. But just, I wanted to make the point to you, Cristo, she's been with them since April and not one thing has come through the pipeline. Isn't that a little interesting? You are Meghan Markle. You are you are one of the most talked about women on the planet, and William Morris Endeavor has not secured you at least one brand deal.
And also, any speaking engagements as well? Have there been any speaking engagements?
What we've seen them do was the San Diego appearance, which was, I think that's a PR person telling them that they need to look royal again, remind people why they liked them.
She's with those speaking agencies as well. I mean, has anyone booked her to listen to that drivel?
No. But I think we're seeing them just go the royal route again. San Diego, Toronto. I think somebody's saying, talk less, look pretty, and wave. Remind people why they liked you in the first place.
I don't even think Serena Williams would take their call now.
Sure she wasn't at Serena's baby reveal or ginger reveal party or our baby shower.
Was she not?
No, she wasn't.
There we go. Serena's racist, or someone's racist. That's definitely to do with racism. I'm sure it is. That's their answer for everything.
Katie,
okay.
Wait, I want you to answer this one, Cristo. Katie asks, would the royal family let Harry come back if Meghan were to divorce him?
Yes, I think that they probably would, but I think it would take a hell of a lot of groveling and but I think they probably would. Yeah, I think they probably would. I think that it would take a lot of groveling, a lot of mea culpa. But I think Charles is a bit of a softie. I'm not sure William would. It depends on when, as well, as a big thing. I think if Charles was still king, I think he would, because I think that Charles is a lot more sensitive now than he used to be, and I think he's got a soft spot for Harry. despite what Harry says. I'm not sure if it went on as long as William becoming king. I'm not sure William would. That's my answer.
Shell asks if I would do a charity live with other YouTubers donating to the Prince of Wales charity. Yeah, I want Cristo here though.
I don't know if I'd be allowed. I'd be kicked off. I don't know if I'd be allowed. Someone, by the way, I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. But someone said, can you list, please, all of the 17 contradictions and lies in the Oprah interview? We haven't got 5 hours. I mean, how long do you think we've got?
Can I just say, Diana B said, "What are your predictions for the family now?" Cristo, think about that. Well, I just want to make this point. I had a psychic on my podcast on Halloween, and the psychic said on my podcast, and I almost cut it out because I thought it was so left field. His name's Fernie, the fortune teller, and he's from Texas, and he's so cute. He said that Catherine was going to have a really hard 2024 because she was going to struggle with the idea of being canceled. She was going to feel judged, and she was going to really struggle navigating through 2024. And while her and the Prince of Wales, William, are unified behind the scenes, emotionally, he said she felt sad. And I almost cut it out because I thought that's not the kind of thing I want to hear. But B, I thought that sounds so crazy because she's always so bright, happy, and full of life. And now, after seeing what has happened over the last few days, I'm like, that mofo knows what he's talking about, because he predicted that she would feel this pressure of being canceled and she would feel this sadness and judgment. And I just thought that's crazy.
Because what must be awful is, imagine that you're being accused of something and the world is talking about it, and that some people in the world are believing it, and some people in the country in which you're going to be queen are believing it, and you're having to dust yourself off and smile and put on a front and go out, and not being able to say a word, not being able to defend yourself, knowing if you do it, it'll keep the story going, but knowing if you don't, some people would believe it. Like that, to me, is what's mentally torturous. Is knowing you can't do anything. Whatever you do is gonna make it worse.
And did you see how
you insane?
Exactly? And did you see how sweet Prince William was last night? The way he grabbed for her hand, and the way his body almost shielded her from photographers. Yeah. He was so caring and protective and sweet last night, and she was so poised and stoic and beautiful. But I just really, what I saw immediately last night at their variety appearance was that they were very unified, and that it seemed like he was trying to protect her physically.
Jeff is annoyed with me. Enough of this guy looking stuff up. Do your homework before the show and be on next time and be on time. I'm not looking stuff up. My computer's down here and my webcam is up here. So when I'm looking at my webcam, I'm looking up here, but the screens and the chat are down here on my laptop. So that's why it looks like I'm looking stuff up, but I'm not.
Wait, did we have any predictions for the royal family? I think that they're going to have a quiet, really sweet Christmas. I think that they're going to continue to distance themselves from Harry and Meghan after this. That's common sense to me. I think that one thing I'd like to argue is that I don't believe Omid's report about there being any animosity behind the scenes between Prince William and King Charles. I think King Charles really appreciates William's commitment and dedication to the family and serving others.
That's mentioned in here as well, actually. This is the Times article I printed out, and that he sort of being a caretaker king, that Charles is, and that William's sort of, in heir mode. Another damaging assertion is the apparently growing chasm between the king and his eldest son. This is on here, who is in heir mode. He knows his father's reign is only transitional and is acting accordingly. The pair is out of sync. He says it would have been nice to see them come together on certain projects, perhaps in the early years, to put on that united front, but they're all working in silos, Scobie says, sipping from his bottle of Fiji water. Most other commentators say William and Charles have become closer in recent years, a bond strengthened by Harry's departure. If you look at precedent, I don't think we ever saw the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth, and Prince Charles working together on projects. I don't think they ever said, right, we're joining forces, because
No.
the whole thing is they have their own household. I mean, does Omid not know how the royal households actually work?
Well,
It's very rare.
he doesn't. He doesn't know a lot, actually. Over the pond says Kinsey, was Omid let go at Bazaar, cannot find it. So I don't know what happened with Omid and Bazaar. What I do know is that he left for Yahoo. And that was earlier this year, right, Cristo? Didn't he start working for Yahoo News this year?
Yeah, but
And now
that's over now as well, I think.
and that's over now. So yeah, so Omid at some point recently went to Yahoo News, which was, let's be honest, a downgrade. And he's recently thanked them for his very brief time there, and no longer works with Yahoo News either. So
but you know, we would like to make it clear that if Yahoo News would like to pay us for this content, we would happily accept it, and it's not a downgrade for us. Just saying. If they ever want to.
Mark asks if Harry had to sign a prenup with Meghan. What a good question. I imagine that the answer is no, based on, I bet that she would lose her mind if she was asked to sign a prenup.
Yeah, I mean, she probably asked him to.
Yeah, honestly.
She wouldn't. He wouldn't want her to have. He wouldn't. She wouldn't want him to have any of those repeat fees from Suits. Sure that they're raking it in.
Yeah.
And Diana points out that Catherine got a standing ovation at the Albert Hall last night. A big show of support from the public as well. And yes, and I think that's about it for the questions, right?
Yeah, I'm still scrolling, but this is amazing. Thanks, everybody. How do I think
Kinsey, you are in desperate need of sleep?
Oh, I know. I felt it when I was doing my Omid Scobie impersonation, and I was rocking back and forth. I was like, this is a woman that should be unconscious right now.
Yeah, that's it really. All right. Well, listen, we should probably call it to
Cristo and I are going to do another recap on Sunday morning on Talk TV. So if you want to join us there, you can talk to us on Talk TV and see us there.
Yes, and that will be at around 5:30 Sunday morning UK time. So we will do that. Jan loves us so much that who's the straight guy and who's the comic?
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not a
you're
straight guy.
You're definitely the comic. I always have to reel you in.
Yeah, in fairness, you've never put Elizabeth Arden on your intimate parts, so I think that makes me the comic, does it?
There's an actress from Wednesday named Jenny Ortega, and there was like an article in one of the beauty magazines that was like Jenny Ortega's secret to stellar skin, and I clicked on the article and it was like Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream, and I thought nope, not gonna do it.
Well, it's nice on parts, but on certain parts of you, remember I had to go and get a wet wipe.
Yeah, you almost had to call NHS and say, what do I do next?
I nearly called the NHS 111 number to say that I've been attacked by a tube of Elizabeth Arden cream, but also on the bright side, visited by Diana at the same time, because of course the Elizabeth Arden.
You know, I'd say that you know, worth the risk there. You know, gambled and won is what we call that.
Exactly. She spoke to me because that's what happens when you open a tube of Elizabeth Arden. Did I tell you this the other day? I was doing my tax return, and which we have to do every year. I'm sure you have to do your taxes in America, obviously. And I was doing my tax return, and I was going through all my purchases and which purchases are for work and which purchases are personal. And the Elizabeth Arden cream came up, and I thought, I'm going to put that as a work expense. I bought that for work. It was a work expense. So I bought it for this podcast. So that's going through as a work expense.
That is going to end up in the Daily Express. This is how Cristo gets taken down by the government.
Yeah. They're going to do a full tax audit because of the Elizabeth Arden that I applied to my manhood. Basically.
Can you imagine having to testify about that on the stand?
Yes, maybe I'd have to
Then
do a
you get
demonstration.
then you get your own Netflix movie like Prince Andrew, where somebody gets to play you in everything.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
Do you know I was up for a part for that? I read for a part for that. Did I tell you that?
Yes, but we're gonna wait. So we're gonna dramatically redo the scene together when it gets closer to coming out, and you're
Right.
actually gonna have your moment and get to play that part.
Oh, all right. We'll re-edit it so that it's me doing it because I'm so I didn't know if I told you that because the week I had the script, I was gagging to tell you. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, if I get this part and I'm actually in the royal drama about Prince Andrew, how will I not tell Kinsey? How will I keep it from you?
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. So I've probably broken the non-disclosure agreement by telling you now.
But you look exactly like the guy that you were going to play, except thinner.
Well, bless you for saying that. You're very kind, I think. Well, yeah, the thinner part, I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, but I was devastated not to get it purely because it was only for like a couple of scenes. But my God, imagine being in the Prince Andrew drama.
I
Imagine.
know.
Which would be,
And then you could be like, well, Prince Harry and I have the same boss. It's Netflix.
I know it wasn't for Netflix. This is the one for Amazon Prime. Because you know that
Oh,
there are two. There are
I did
two Prince
not.
Andrew dramas. Yeah, so there's one for Netflix, which is the one with Gillian Anderson, and she's playing Emily Maitlis, and Rufus Sewell is playing Prince Andrew. But there is also a 4-part Amazon drama, which is called A Right Royal Scandal.
Ah, yes,
And
yes.
it was that one that I was up for, where no, I think it's 3 parts. And in that one, it's Ruth Wilson who plays Emily Maitlis, and it's Michael Sheen, I think, who plays Prince Andrew. And there are a few other people in it as well. And that was the one that I was up for.
Okay, well,
Uh,
make sure you don't throw away those audition sheets, and we'll dramatically recreate it so that the people can get what they want, and that's to see you in a Prince Andrew movie.
okay, that's. I wasn't playing. By the way, the part is not Jeffrey Epstein. Just so you know. I feel like I should clarify that the part is not Jeffrey Epstein. Thank
Thoughts
you.
and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Okay, well, everybody, you can catch us on Sunday morning on Talk TV. Thanks so much for joining in with us. You can share this video, like this video, and thank you for commenting and chatting to us. We really enjoyed your company today.
Sorry, I was late again. I will try and sort my camera out. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. The comments after this video goes up, people are yelling at us for talking to the people in the chat room. So everybody's going to be mad. You just have to be like, you know what?
You're right. You're right. And if everyone loves you, you're doing something wrong. That's
Exactly.
true.
Diana.
Yeah. All right. So we are really going this time because we've been saying goodbye now for about an hour.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
All right, bye,
bye.
guys. Talk
Thanks,
to you later.
everyone. Bye.